So welcome back to the channel, and on this video I'm going to show you how to convert, or how I'm going to convert these 35mm slides or 110 slides depending upon what type of film you have, because I have about 1,000 of these things with, well, 100 to a reel here, and I've got 10 more reels back there. So I've got over about 1,000 of these things that I'm going to convert, and I'm going to show you what I think is going to be the easiest way to do this. But before I do that, do me a favor and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below so that others can see this video just like you, because I know this came up in my comments down below, and if you have other comments, please leave them down there, because this was one of the things that you wanted to see. So here it is. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a minute. So what I've got is about 1,000 slides, and I need a way to conveniently digitize them all. Now, there are a couple of mechanisms that I've seen online and other people's videos where they've made some kind of homegrown, let's just say, stand or contraption where they'll take their camera or their cell phone and they'll take pictures of it. But I didn't want to go that way. That sounds like very complicated. I just wanted simple. And so what I did was I purchased 3 different devices here. They all kind of vary in what they will do and their features and what they kind of support. And I'm going to talk through each one, and I'm going to kind of give you the positive and the negative for each one and help you make the decision what's going to be best for you. I will definitely put these down in the description down below, but I will also maybe put some additional links to some other similar looking products that are probably going to give you a similar result as all of these. Okay, so with that, let's talk about the first device. Okay, so the first device I want to talk about is this DigitNow film scanner, and it's a pretty good product. Now, is it the best one? You can decide. I'm going to put it on the bottom of my list of products to choose, and I'll tell you why that is initially. Now, what kind of attracted me to this device specifically was I knew I had a large project, as in 1,000 slides or so, and most of the slide projectors that I'm going to show you, the other 2 after this, they come with these like little carriages, and you open these carriages up and you load in your slides, right? You kind of put them in these little slots where they are, and then you kind of close this thing up, and then you'll have like a little cartridge piece that you pull out, and then you kind of slide this through here, and you'll line that up with your picture, and then you hit a button and you take a picture. And that's how most of them work. Now, what I really liked about this one is that it had this little mechanism or tray with this little slider, and what that allows you to do is put that in there, put a stack of these in here, and just kind of slide these through one at a time, and then I can hit the picture button, and then I can slide the next one through, and I can hit the button, and I can slide the next one through, and I can hit the button, and so on and so forth. And that would be a much faster process than having to load these in at 4 slides at a time. Now, the negative to this unit, one of the things that I don't like, is that it only supports 10 megapixels. It does 5 or 10. And the other 2 units I'm going to show you, they do 22 megapixels. Now, what we're talking about there, if you're not familiar with megapixels, is it's how many millions of pixels are in your picture. So digital images are basically just a bunch of little dots that make up your image. Unlike film, which was what this is here. Film is let's say, a true representation of what is captured on this element or film of the picture that it really took. And so there's not a representation of little itty bitty dots. So you can't, if you keep zooming in on this, there's not 1 pixel somewhere in the corner, right? It is just the picture of the whole thing. So obviously the better camera that you take a picture of the film with, the higher quality video you're going to get. And so with that, this scanner here, I'm just going to say out of the gate, I would not go with. Even though it is a very quick process for scanning things, it's already outdated from a megapixel point of view. And I've got a little note here that, a 10 megapixel camera is like an iPhone 14, like 11 through 14, something like that series, to kind of put it in perspective if you used an iPhone, which isn't bad, but it's not the best, right? So if you want to go high quality, the camera that I'm shooting this with is a 38 megapixel camera. So if you think about that, and what I'll do is I'll take a couple of pictures here and I'll show them right here for you, so you can kind of see what a 10 megapixel camera picture looks like, and I'll put even a 22 over here that I'm going to capture from one of the other things, just so you can kind of see that difference, right? Now, all of these devices, they do kind of have some different functions, and I'll make sure the camera here is up close, and it allows you to flip the picture sometimes or rotate that picture, and it will also let you adjust with these up and down buttons the color and the hue. And if you go into the menu, you could change the type of film or the thing that you're capturing. And then the other thing I want to kind of note about this unit is you need a memory card to take a picture of this, and it does not come with one. So I had to grab one of my 2 GB SD cards here, and I'm going to take that and put that in there. And now it's got an SD in it, detecting it. So, inside here you can change your resolution to 5 or 10 megapixels. Obviously you'd want it on 10 because you want the best picture. You can change your exposure from -2 to +2, and you can change the type of capture. And this will do both these 35mm slides that are already developed, but it also comes with the tray. It also comes with this tray here. And what that tray will allow you to do is, if you have the old film from your standard camera, this is another way of really getting back some old school pictures, because, well, these things may or may not be in there, because back in the day, if you're my age, you remember that you went and we got your film developed, and you would pass the pictures around to people, and somebody would want to keep a copy or whatever, and you lose that picture unless you went and redeveloped it. Well, those pictures are still on this film, and you can take this film now and put them in this tray, close it, and take that picture. Now, I'll demonstrate that in one of the units a little later, because I think that other unit does a much better job of this, right? And this one also does not seem to gather the, let's say, analyze the picture. Like if you look at your camera nowadays, when you take a picture, it'll try to auto adjust the light and all that kind of stuff. This one is not going to do that. So this is the cheaper of all 3 of them. Again, it's on my last end of the list of where I would put things. Probably wouldn't buy this one unless you're just going for speed and you want to see what's on there. But other than that, I think this kind of speaks for itself of what it is. So let me talk about the next unit. Okay, so this is the Kodak 7-inch Max, and the Max version of the Kodak has basically, I think the tilting screen here, you can see it kind of tilts up so you can get a better view of it, where I think there is a cheaper version of this with the same sort of specs, but the screen doesn't tilt. It's in a fixed position. This does take a USB-C connector for the power, and you do have to have your own SD card. Now, a thing on the SD card is make sure that you have a 32 GB or less card. That's what these things say they support, which means if you put a 64 gig or 128 gig or something even larger than that into this, it may not be able to read that card. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is a 2 gig card that I'm using, and you'll see it kind of comes up with no problem. Now, what I like about this unit, and this is one of the things on my list that I would consider purchasing if I was you, is what I like about this one is it has the same kind of trays, but they operate a little differently. So instead of the last tray where you open it up, you put the slides in, and then you close it, in this tray, you can slide this like sliding mechanism through here. And now what we can do is pick the appropriate type of slide that we're going to go through. And now I can just take a slide and put it in here and kind of slide it into frame. And I can use the next one to kind of help push that one through. And now I can line that up exactly where it needs to be. And I can hit the take a picture button. And now it's going to take a picture. Right? Now after that, I can take the next one and I can slide it through. And I can press the button and I can take a picture. And you can see that if I'm going to have to do 1,000 of these slides, this process is going to be quite a bit faster than having to load these into a tray and then take that tray out and redo it over and over. Now, one of the things I'm going to show you that I don't like about this unit is if you load a slide in, like I just here, and I'm going to show you the picture, the slide's upside down, and it could even be mirrored. This device, unfortunately, does not have a automatic flipping or turning of the slide. So if I want to correct this, I now have to kind of back that slide out, right? And in this case, that means I'm going to have to put in, a couple of slides to take that. I'm going to have to flip that slide over, And now I'm going to have to put it back in here. Now, I could, of course, go ahead and post-process this inside of the computer, and I could flip it in there. But now I've got the picture flipped over. Now I can go ahead and hit my button. Kind of inconvenience on how you do that, but it is what it is, right? And I think this is the same. Well, after I've seen a bunch of these devices, they all seem to have kind of the same firmware, same chipset, must be. I haven't opened these up, but I would imagine they're all kind of built the same way. Now, you do have some options around brightness. If you, hit this button here, you can change the brightness, as you can see on the screen there. Or if you hit OK and accept that, you can hold down this other button at the top and you can change the red, green, blue value. So if you don't like a certain color, you can manually try to adjust it inside the device and correct your picture a little bit that way. Now, my personal opinion is I would not be doing this inside this device. It's very time consuming of adjusting it for every single piece here. And I find that doing it inside of software after the fact is a lot easier. And I might actually go ahead and add to the end of this video here a couple of pieces of free software that you could do this on your own. So now it also has, if you're interested in doing it, let's say you want to do more than just slides, it does support the 110 slide size, which is the little itty bitty slide. And you can see the difference here of the whole maybe, okay? And then it also has the ability to do film. And all you got to do is you got to open up this little tray. You put the guide in there, and it's got some little pins on the bottom, and that goes into the holes here so that makes sure you get it the right way. And then there's an arrow that shows you which side loads in. And now that that's in there, you'll want to hit the home button, choose the type, and tell it that you're going to do a color negative, which is what these are. And we'll do 35mm film. And now what I can do is I can slide one of these film pieces, right? I can actually see the picture in there, so I can tell which way is up and down. I can take that film and I can slide it in here, and it's going to now see that picture in color and convert that film negative into a nice picture. So I can now take a picture of that just like I would the slide, but now it's doing it from the slide negative. You can see a picture of my brothers and my mom there. And my uncle and my cousin. And my grandma and my nephew and many others. And it's that simple, right? So that's a very convenient device. It does a good job of taking pictures. It's 20 megapixels. This is definitely a device I would consider doing it because of the speed factor and the quality of the video. And it's Kodak, so it's got a good name. The unit seems very sturdy. The buttons are pretty responsive. It's not a slow processor of any sort, so it does a pretty good job. So this one is on my list of things I would consider doing. It's nice and small and convenient. You can take this to somebody's house, make it portable if you need to, and this is a good unit. Okay, now let me show you the last one, and it's probably my favorite because it is a little cheaper than this, but we'll get into that. Let me get into the last one. Okay, so this is the last unit that I've tried, or the third one, and it's basically a scanning device called Kedok. I don't know if it's a knockoff of Kodak or if this is somewhere made overseas, and it's a very popular brand. I'm not aware of it in the US here. This device I do like for multiple reasons. One, it's in the middle from the price point, and it has a lot more features from a device. You're going to get a lot more by purchasing this device than you would the other ones. And what I mean by that is it does come with the same kind of trays, right? So here is the tray, just like the first unit, where you can open it up and we can put our slides in, which is what the majority of this video is about, right? So I can go ahead and load these 4 in here. And then I can close this guy up, and it's got a few magnets in there. I'm gonna move this out of the way and push this out of my way. There is a side over here where you're gonna slide this card into now. and that's going to then line up. And then what you do on here is you'll put this from, there's a film and a photo, which I'll explain in a minute, but we're going to put it over here to film because this is all considered film. And the menu will change to the appropriate, like what you're doing, whether it's film or photo. And I'm going to go into film. I'm going to say, yes, I want to do film. I want to do 35 millimeter. And you'll see here that I can now see a picture of the slide that's in there. Now, what I like about this one is two things. One, it comes with its own SD card. So I don't need this one that I brought to the party, so I can put it over here. It does come with an 8 gig card, and I think it supports up to 32 gigs, but 8 gigs is a whole lot of pictures, right? So I'm gonna put this back in there. So now that the picture is there, you'll notice that it's upside down, and this is the same problem we had with the Kodak. Now, in this one, I can just push the button on the side here and the picture will automatically flip. So now I don't have to fuss with which way is up and which way is down, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think everything loaded in this cartridge was done correctly. So if you push the left button, the picture will mirror, right? So it'll flip the left and right, but if you push the right button, the picture will go up and down and flip it, so if you have it upside down. And if you happen to know what's on the picture, you could go ahead and orient it to the way that it's really done. Like, for example, I know that this picture is a picture of the house that my mom grew up in, and surprisingly, I know what the house looks like, even though it was probably 50 years ago that it, I actually visited there. So this is how it is, and all I do is I hit the scan button, and it's going to go ahead and take a 20 megapixel picture of this image. Now in here, you can go over and set the date and time and the resolution. This thing supports, for some reason, 14 megapixels and 22. I don't know why you would put it on 14. Obviously, more megapixels or more pixels are better, but I would do 22 megapixels. This also has kind of a auto color correction detection mechanism. So when you are putting this in and you see your picture, it's going to do its best to, and apparently I got all these upside down, but it's going to do your best to guess at the proper color and contrast of each photo. And that's where I really think this unit shines. And honestly, that's why this has to be my favorite one, is it's going to save me a lot of times with any post-processing. So instead of having to go ahead and post-process every photo, now there only might be a handful that I'm going to have to do, right? And again, I got another one upside down. I'm batting at least 300 here. So, and no, that math wasn't right. But so that's the deal there. That's how you do the slides. I just did those 4. It does take a minute. You'd have to open this back up. And then you would have to flip out and get 4 new ones. So I'm just gonna dump those out, and I would load 4 new ones in and do the same process. Now over here, I've got a slide for doing, this is probably 110 film. And I think you could actually put, maybe if you wanted to, you could try to do 8 millimeter, although I think my film conversion video shows a much better option for that. And here is the, if I want to take a picture, take this, and I'll line this up correctly. There are some little dots here, or some little keys, and that is making sure that you get these lined up correctly. And then we go ahead and we can shut this down. We can then feed this through. Now, because this is a negative, you'll see on the screen here that it's kind of inverted the picture. So I'm going to go to the menu, go film type, and I want to change this to a negative film, 35 millimeter. And now I have, again, pictures of my nephews here, and I can hit this button and flip it. I can look for any writing on the boxes to know if it's left or right. It looks pretty good, so I'm going to hit scan there. And then I'm going to go ahead and advance this to the next picture, right? Again, picture of my brothers. Take that picture. And take that picture. And I'll do that picture. And in this one, you can see with an 8 gig card, I'm going to get about 21 or over 2,000 pictures per 8 gig card. Now, once you've done that, the other option that this thing does support is if you have standard photos, like these guys here, right? So there's my nephew from a long time ago. You can switch this over to photo, and it'll tell you, hey, please remove the film tray. And then what we can do is we can open up the top here. And they do come with these guides. So you can do business cards, or you can do a 5x7, a 4x6 photo, or a 3.5x5. And it has a pretty good thing. These are all 4x6s. So there's some little pins here. We're gonna line those pins up. And then that allows me to take a picture and lay it on here just in the right spot. And then if I go into the menu here and I tell it over to the left where it says crop, and I hit enter, I can tell it what size picture. So in this case, I'm going to be scanning a bunch of 4x6s. So I'm going to hit enter. And now what it'll do is it'll properly crop that picture. So, where I've done this on a big flatbed scanner, and you're scanning a 4x6, you have to scan a 11x7 or a huge square of that, and then you got to crop it out later or after the fact, unless it's got some type of self-detection, which most of them do. And I'm gonna maybe have a video about that a little later. But this device is a great device. It does do the auto color correction. It tries to do its best to pick out your colors. That's going to save you time, obviously, when you're post-processing. And price point wise, it's right in the middle between the first unit and the Kodak unit, and it's got the same 22 megapixels. A little bulkier than the Kodak, but obviously it needed to be able to handle taking the photographs and be able to handle a larger size. Okay, so I don't think it gets any cleaner than that. Obviously, if this was like a race, here should be your #1 position in my mind, because it's middle of the road price-wise, so cheaper than the Kodak. But the Kodak is a nice product, for the fact that you can speed load things through it, where this is going to definitely take me a lot more time to kind of get through this process. So this was the other reason why I went down and got the Kodak unit, is because time is valuable. So, for the price difference really isn't that big of a deal. And this one, I just honestly wouldn't go this route. And I would also, if you're going to look for something different online, pay attention to that megapixel, and maybe look for the additional features like this one here that's doing the auto color correction and the brightness and contrast. Is some things you don't have to do. For the Kodak one, you have to do that a little bit manually. And then down here, we're into the lower resolution. So if you're gonna pick one or copy what I did, I would go with one of these two units, honestly. They both have their pluses and minuses. They're both gonna do 20 megapixels, and they're gonna be good quality products for you. So I said that I would do a small section on what software I like to use that's free and you can use to kind of edit and touch up your photos. And one of them that I am a huge fan of, although Google doesn't support it anymore, is their Picasa 3. Now, it's a little hard to find, and I'll try to leave a link down in the description down below. No promises that it's going to stay there or that it's going to be, you're going to use it later. This version is version 3.9.138. Be aware, people do put out like different versions of software and try to trick you into downloading things. So just be cautious when you're downloading things, and just, be forewarned. So if you use this, what I really liked about it is you could easily give it folders and you can kind of sort things out. I've only given it the folders that I'm looking at, and it also does like facial recognition. You can open up the pictures, like here's that fire truck picture from earlier, and it's got like some red eye correction, some auto color. So you can just click the auto color button and it'll automatically adjust it. You can do like auto contrast, and then you can tell it to kind of save it, and you can just kind of go back. So like here's a picture. If I just want to do a like auto color, it'll kind of fix the grass for you, and you don't really have to think about it. It's just a one-click, easy to go. So that's one piece of software that I suggest you might be able to use. Now, here's a second piece of software that I've found to be really useful. It's called DigiCam. It is still supported. It's open source. And what I like about it is it also does facial recognition. And it's got a lot of bells and whistles to it. Matter of fact, it takes me a little bit to try to figure out what I want to do. And so, for example, if I wanted to edit the color of this picture, again, this was one of the ones we've seen in the slides. You can go up under Tools under Image Editor. And in here, you can do like enhancements, transforms, and different kind of effects. You can come under the color and you can say like, let's auto color correct. And then you'll notice that it'll add, some better color to the grass and kind of really enhance the level. And you can kind of, pick some different, effects of how you want to, modify the color. This is also a very handy piece of software. I'm not really going to go into it because that's not really what the video is about, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of once you scan these things, they don't look perfect because the slides aren't perfect. I mean, they were taken probably 60 years ago, and the color and the quality of the cameras back then just really wasn't all that. So just keep that in mind. You probably will have to do some post-processing to make them look really nice. These are not crazy expensive devices, so they're only going to do so much, but you can come in here, you can get a really beautiful picture just like this. So this picture here, is easily 60 years old. So with that, so Picasa and DigiCam, I'll put the links down below in the description, but if you have other software that you found really useful, please share it down in the comments so that everyone else in the community can benefit from your information also, because I think that would be a great help to everyone about what software everybody else is using, and heck, I would love to see that. Maybe I'll even do a video as a kind of a review of all the different software that people put down there. So with that, hopefully this helps explain how to do this. It's probably a process you're going to do one time. I don't know many people that are still making slides like this, and these are probably 60 years old. So, with that, I thank you again, as always, for watching the channel. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.